shout out to Hoop Jargon, man. I'm gonna add you to the crew, man. This crew called Hoop Jargon. They've been getting at it, man. They the ones that's gonna grill you, man, because they majority are all Houston people. So that's
shout out to Hoop Jargon. Shout out to Hoop Jargon. Back in this thing like I never left. Shout out to Hustle. We back. So we're going to continue part 2 with the draft discussion now. So I know we said a lot of backdrop about where qualified opinions come from, about what to expect from the AAU experience, how the game has changed. And so, I got to give Dain, all the credit for dropping all those jewels of knowledge. You understand what I'm saying with yours truly, you know what I mean? He did a little bit of something, I did a little March flash. So, without further ado, man, let's bring Dain back into the fold.
Yes, I'm back.
There we
Switched
go.
up a little bit. Had to refresh a little bit. Been up a little early, but
there you go.
always got time for family.
Looking like a young Zach Randolph.
Nah. Zach look like me.
Zach look like you. All right, that's what it is. All right, see, Amaya says, work, fall asleep, make this interesting, man. We're going to make it informative and interesting. How about that? 2 for 1. Hit the Cash App if you agree with what we.
Yeah, you want to wake up, hit my man Cash App. He'll send me a little something.
Do that. So, yeah, guys, this is my off day, but I like doing stuff like this to give y'all that content, that you can use and to understand. Again, my whole point is channel, so you're not getting these hoop discussions, you're just talking out your ass. You got to have some information that is backed by something that means something. And I know at the end of the day, it's all opinions until a draft class shakes out, until career success shakes out. But it would behoove you to learn something in the process, and so you're not just saying stuff and make yourself look like an ASS. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So let's get into the draft situation that's going down Thursday, right?
Yes, sir.
Thursday. So let's start the right way, man. How do you feel about this draft class in comparison to last year?
It's. I think it's still too close when you say compared to last year, because you had ultra bright spots like LaMelo, like Anthony Edwards, and then I think there's still pieces in last year's draft class that is still kind of unknown. We don't know what Onyeka Okongwu is going to give you yet. We don't know what Obi Toppin is fully going to give you yet as a career. My mindset of a draft, again, we were raised by what we saw and what we experienced. The 80s and 90s are heavy in my mind on how it should work. And we're in a generation in a space now that they don't move in the same particular way. Just to give you light of what I'm saying, you're talking about some of the greats that we've known in the 90s, your Derek Coleman, your Gary Paytons, or collegiate greats. Let me say that first. Your collegiate greats like Derek Coleman, Gary Payton, Larry Johnson. We mentioned Todd Day earlier, Kenny Anderson, Steve Smith. These are guys, with the exception of Anderson, they were 3-4 year guys. There was no rush. There wasn't a small window of success and then they went pro. They proved over and over again in college that, I'm a pro. I really do this. Like, they could really, I think the talk that kids talk now would have definitely been more suited and better for the 90s because guys really did it. To give you an example, you're talking about Harold Miner averaged 20 as a freshman in the Pac-10.
Yeah, that's big.
You know what I'm saying? As a freshman, he stayed, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years. Guys like Steve Smith coming back for senior seasons after getting 20 plus. You talking about Kenny Anderson as a freshman. Before Trae Young's 29-7, or 8 it was, Kenny Anderson was the last freshman to average 20 plus points and 8 assists a game. So that stood that long window of time. And he came back only to average 27 and I forgot whatever assists. So I think back then you as a collegiate player, you did more to prove that you were a pro. Now people do the bare minimum. They have a small window. Oh, look, Johnny Juzang, which I'm happy that he went back to college, but Any other freshman would have did that. There's a gentleman in the draft, Greg Brown, from this past season. You know, he's an Austin native. I've known Greg and his family for quite some time, but you know, outside of the highlight dunk he had against Baylor, which was, you know, it was phenomenal, he did nothing else. And now he's leaning on that space as he goes forward to be a pro on the explosion that he possesses. He does. He has the explosion. But what about completing your game? And maybe that's the way to sum it up. People in the past, again, in the 80s and the 90s, early 2000s, their games were more complete before they said, yo, I'm going pro. Whereas, you know, now a lot of guys are just prospects. And I learned from a very successful management in the league that coaches and teams want to be able to put together a staff that when that coach looks down the bench, he sees people that they know what they can do. So I think with Monty Williams is a classic example, and I'm happy for him. Many people were scratching their head with Cam Johnson as a senior, as a fifth-year senior even, I believe, taking him out of Carolina in the lottery. But as we saw with Cam Johnson this year, and he fits in so well with what they're doing in Phoenix, when Monty looks down that bench, he knows what he's getting. He knows what he's getting. Whereas, like I mentioned, you know, Onyeka in Atlanta, does Nate McMillan really know what he's getting from Onyeka yet? And it's to no one's fault. It's not to Onyeka's fault because he's still young. And then Nate is looking at management like, okay, y'all took him, but what is he to do? Mm-hmm. And I think often it puts a lot of teams in a space where I'm not complete. Like, I'm a big Luka Garza fan. You know, I'm gonna put on my ball hugger hat Thursday night, and I'm really hoping that a team sees the value that he can bring in as a 4-year senior, someone who can stretch the defense, a la Brook Lopez, as we just saw. And then if we get into the nights that, damn, we got to play Embiid, we got to play Giannis, we got to play these Karl Anthony Towns, Jokic, he could probably be of use. And I think people have to stop trying to reinvent the wheel or reinvent the pants with pockets and just make a better pants with pockets, make a better wheel, and go forward and doing it that way.
Yeah, no, I'm with that, man, because what you see is lack of consistency lack of bringing in guys that fit your system, and you bringing in names, you bringing in the capital P that we all love. If you coach, what you hate is potential. Right. You know what I'm saying? When you draft on potential, boy, you can swing and miss real good. And one that I'll take the L was Thon Maker. You know, he had the capital P in potential. But what we found is you couldn't really use him in a pro system because he's a little light in the ass, because he didn't consistently rebound, because he didn't consistently defend. But he had the handle, he had the shot, he had the things like the measurables. But when you look at it, sometimes you got to have the meat to your game. To your point, when the guys are unproven, you're taking a huge gamble. Now, sometimes you can hit. Like Dirk, he played for Würzburg in Germany, which is like third league. Like third league Germany is not respectable from the world scale. And I can say that affectionately because I played third league Germany when I was in Germany. So I'm okay with that. Like, you know, it's not, you know, my career has happened already. So we only can speak facts. Now, with a lot of us here stateside, we don't quite even know the levels to even speak on. So, for example, another one was with, I think, Dario Saric. He played a relatively mid-level in, was it Serbia, I believe? Where's Dario Saric from?
I believe that sounds correct.
And it's a struggle for him because that Serbian league ain't like the goddamn NBA. And to just finally juxtapose it correctly, the ACB league is when you really know what a guy can do, because that's like the equivalent of playing high level, if not better, NCAA level. And that's why a Porzingis comes in and does well. A Ricky Rubio comes in and does well. Luka Doncic comes in and does well. Serge Ibaka, we can keep going. If you play the ACB level, that's more concurrent of what you can evaluate as far as NBA. So let's bring it all to a head. Experience does matter. And, well, let me say this too. With Giannis, he didn't play, he played like third league Greece, rather. He wasn't really a top-level talent. So the potential can be a gift and curse. And the really good talent evaluators can kind of see how that, even with lack of pro evaluation, you can kind of project forward. And usually you're going to be wrong more than you are right. You understand what I'm saying? That's what this whole game is about, man. Who can guess the best? But to your point, in the 90s, you had more polished players. So it was a better evaluation metric to go off of. And that's why now with the social media aspect, it's easier for more guys to get their footage out. But just because it's good looking footage doesn't mean it's going to translate to the NBA level. And I think that's what the conundrum we had now. So
I see a question that Be the Game Sports is asking about, Houston's own Quentin Grimes. And, it's still, but I want to tie it to the very last comment you made, Cliff, about highlight footage. Evaluations have to go deeper than just a highlight footage. There's footage there.
Seventh Woods, anybody?
Oh my God! But here go the crazy part. You have companies now even manipulating what you're actually watching to make it. It blows you away because you're like, oh my God, he did that so quick. But you got people manipulating moments in space to make it look quicker than what it was. So that in your mind, you're saying, man, you saw how quick he did that, not knowing that they altered the video.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
And no, it is. It's very tough because then it's like if it draws you in, you see it, and then you go to a game, and games go the way that they go. Now you put this evaluator or this scout in the space where now they're kind of tied because they're like, he wasn't that quick, but he was still good. He was played a year in the American League, but why did he leave Kansas? And it's so many things that like it just goes into the equation. So to Justin Singleton, yes, I was at the combine. He played well. He did play well, but people also got to remember, too much is given, much is required. This was a kid that was a high school American.
Yes, he was.
So when you're a high school American, unfortunately, the longer you stay, and this is so foul about the process. This is why the system is broke, because we just highlighted how players in the past were more polished. When you go pro, you should be polished. You should be ready. You should be able to define the role you're about to take on as a pro. But because he was a high school American, everybody wants you to get out in 1 year. Mm-hmm. He didn't get out in 1 year. As a matter of fact, he transferred. Okay, cool. Things happen. You transfer. He transferred. You didn't get out in the second year. So now he is polished. He's defined, I think, now more than ever than you would have had 2 years ago. He knows who he is. And I believe he should be a first-round pick. But you're talking about 30 teams who have a wild spectrum of questions that may now push that back. They may now say, well, I don't know. I don't want to invest. Think about it. I'll invest in a 19-year-old. I may not invest in a 21, 22-year-old. That's what you're literally looking at.
And I'll put it like this, man. It's almost like the dating market. Let's say you see this chick bad, super fine, super pretty in the face. You ask her how old she is. She's 36, 37. And you wonder, like, damn, why ain't nobody snatched that up? Tell me when I'm lying, chat.
No. And you know what's sad? For the ladies that may be on here or who come on to watch this, but men, it's almost the opposite, though. Yeah. The older you are, and if you don't have any kids and you've never been married, you're now like, your value is crazy. Yeah. It's like you're vintage when you're a man, whereas when you're a woman, you're like, wait a minute, you crazy? You scared?
You should got no kids.
You sure you got no kids? Exactly. And it's unfortunate. And again, we laugh not out of disrespect, but just the irony of what we're saying, like it's the way of the world and how it works. So in Quentin's case, I mean, the Rockets do have 2 late first-round picks. They're clearly in a rebuild space. I mean, if you ask me to speak for him when you're talking the Rockets, I think he can be someone who's a little bit more mature than Porter. He won't become a threat to Porter in trying to take his space, and he could just be a pro at his job. Of course, he has a fan base because he's a local kid, and then he just had success at Houston. But as we know in sports, that often has nothing to do with the decision process. It comes down to numbers. It comes down to we talked about comfort earlier. That happens at the pro level. It's not by coincidence when James Harden did have his run in Houston, they never drafted anyone who could pose a threat to James in all his greatness. They didn't draft just as a more athletic, just as talented, defensive-minded guy, because guess what? That guy might come in, he might win the crowd over, he might win the coach over because he does play defense. He don't score it as great as James does, but he still can score it. And then he's electric. He's selling tickets. That's when sometimes you introduced a different caveat to a management that now they're at a decision space where, man, what do we do? So it'll be interesting. I hope the best. I mean, Quentin is a great kid. His family is a great family. But all those things come into the equation when you're talking about first round. And then also you got to remember it, when you're talking after 22, you're talking about the final 8 teams in the complete playoffs if they didn't give those picks away. In that case, even though the Rockets are in that final 8, those are picks from a playoff-bound team. So usually those teams going late are teams that they do know what they want. They want
absolutely
a specific thing. So maybe somebody late, Philly, Utah, I don't know. But I wish the best for him.
Well, yeah, so he's projected to go out based on NBADraft.net. I mean, which, it's hard to go off these mocks, as we know. Mm-hmm. Even Jay Billis is like wrong all the time. I said that on my stream the other day. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a barometer, it's a measuring stick, but you don't know these last conversations GMs having with agents, therefore and so forward. Like, so it gets to be a very conflated game. I will say, in something we always got to remember, this is an entertainment-based league. Mm-hmm. So, and everybody like say, "Oh, politics." Yeah, you're right, because they got to sell a multi-billion-dollar product that you want to consume at a high clip. So much so, we've all seen it. Fights go on, verbal fights. Your mama ain't this and that over some basketball player you'll never meet in your life. So y'all got to understand how shit rolls down here. It starts from it's a lot that your responsibility of drafting your kid, and going back to your point about Monty Williams. You got guys like that who have a little more control, who want to know who's my guy on the bench, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th guy. Then you got your guys who are your plug and play guys who ain't got no say so over that. And it's whatever the GM say, and that's just what it is. So those, and I always say personality types matter, but also front office dynamics matter, because that's literally how their product you see on the floor gets constructed. And it's frustrating as fans because obviously you're not privy to all the information. But when you kind of start peeping game and seeing how somebody rolls, you get more insight in that capacity. So I do want to add that to the conversation as we move forward.
I do want to ask you, what's the link to this? Because I'm actually having several people hit me asking for the link to this. It's not the link.
It's the stream.
Yeah,
that's the StreamYard. Let me. What is the? Give me. See, I mean, if they just search Hoop Jargon on YouTube, like they'll find it.
Oh, so it's streaming live on Hoop Jargon
on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, so they go straight to YouTube. Yeah, that's easy. Let me see. Gotcha. It's hard to broadcast info. I may be able to share it on the stream.
Because I have quite a few people hit me on my Instagram.
Okay. And, yes. Damn it. I had that link going out on the other one.
That's my fault.
Find it. Nah, you good. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Y'all bear with us as we build as we fly. See, I like using my phone. See, that's my problem, man.
That's what I was going to say. That link you sent me, can I send them that, or would that put them backstage?
That's going to put them backstage. Let me, shit. I can do this. Hold on. Give me one moment.
Nah, don't worry about it. To answer to Justin, what do I think about the tug of war? Well, the consensus around the league, because Detroit is in a transitional phase of, I don't want to say power, but yes, they hired Troy Weaver, great management guy, DC native, started in the college ranks and worked his way up. But then they also have Arn Tellem, who used to be a super agent. He had the likes of Kobe. He had Tracy McGrady. He's been in Detroit's management for a while now. And then you have the owner. And I think when it comes down to these spaces, you have that tug of war. So now, with that being said, let's look at what Detroit did prior to the arrival of Troy. You took Sekou, Duma, Buddha, whomever that may be. This is the same management again. I'm so not, because I normally mess with Cliff about this. They took Thon Maker, they traded for him, and then they took Killian Hayes. They're and there's other picks that in all those cases there were better picks for them to take, and they took them anyway. So you have them, but now you're bringing in Troy, who's had he has a great resume around the league, reputation as well, and I think he was a part of the Killian Hayes stuff a little bit, but he had just got on, so this was his first year, and I think he can get it right. But when you talk about these franchise decisions, especially number one, you have to be on the same page, because the number one pick is not compared to the rest of his draft mates, because if he is, that's really not good. But you're comparing his history. So if you think about it, often, even with LaMelo last year winning Rookie of the Year, and he was a top 3 pick, so it wasn't completely off. You talk about the intel may have affected. People knew how LeVar was acting with Lonzo, and some people couldn't get past that, as we saw. But if you think about it, most of the time, Anthony Edwards, a lot of his comparisons was with the history, how good he was against other historical number one picks. And that's how you're going to be gauged. So I think with this pick from the Pistons, and them getting it right, they know that they're taking someone who's going to be in the history books, and you want to make sure that they measure up. So I think for them, the Rockets want the pick, but this is somewhat similar to me, if you ask me personally, to when people don't remember. People always talk about how the Spurs tanked for Tim Duncan. The Pistons had the worst record. People forget that. The Pistons had the worst record, and just so happened the Spurs got the pick. The same thing with the Rockets. The Rockets had the worst pick, but the Pistons got it. So now we're hoping, or they're hoping, and, Piston loyalists are hoping they get this right so that we potentially can get an all-time great that'll help change the fortunes of the Pistons.
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility comes with that first pick, man. And that's why some franchises, generally speaking, you don't necessarily win a championship being first overall pick candidates. When's the last time this happened? Like since Kareem? Well, no, that's going too far. But so something just popped straight in my head. Well, Kareem, you win year 2 with the number 1 pick. Magic Johnson winning with the number 1 pick. Not very common. You see that metastasize to success early. Or like LeBron was a slow burn, if you want to play it that way. He got him to the finals relatively quick. But usually, man, it's indicative of a failing franchise, and so you really gotta nail that number 1 pick. And I'm almost to the ilk of like, man, if you don't love the pick, man, trade out that motherfucker, man. It's
the number 1 pick?
Well, because you might end up with an Anthony Bennett. You might end up with a Markelle Fultz.
Okay. Let's unpack that, though.
Go ahead.
I think the flaws of both of those individuals, it was internal and a fault on, as we said, the evaluation piece, more than actually it was a bad pick. I mean, again, you said it earlier, we can't marginalize these talents and these players, because to say Markelle Fultz, and this is a kid 1 year out of college, and yeah, he did. He signed a $50 million extension. So
I'm not taking nothing away from him. I'm just saying.
Right. And I do understand what you said, especially who was in his draft.
Yeah.
So let's be
Spider,
like,
Tatum.
Yeah, right.
That's rough,
like,
that's Fox.
Yeah, that's
rough, dog.
But he's still got time.
Yeah, I agree.
He's still got time, because I think, like, when you go back and look at Chauncey's draft, like Chauncey, after 4 years, people thought he was a complete bust and was going to be out the league.
Facts. That's
and
facts.
He was able to turn it around. But going back to what we said again, he got in a comfort situation with a veteran coach that wanted to see him win, gave him all the support, allowed him to flourish, And then Chauncey realized that, and then he came into the Chauncey that now everyone is saying is a Hall of Famer. I'm not here to say he is or isn't a Hall of Famer, but it was the comfort level that he eventually got that allowed him to be that.
Did he start with Calipari at Boston? Not Calipari.
No,
Patino.
Yeah. You talking this dude was trying to press. He was trying to press full court in the NBA like this was college.
You ain't ready yet, baby.
Got his ass ran out the gym. So again, timing is so crucial. I think the Rockets, in finishing with Justin had asked, I think the Rockets want the pick because for them they believe Cade is the easy pick. He can have these, first 2 years potentially with the vet like John Wall for all the bad people may believe he presents. He still has some good in him. He can relate to him what it's like to be a number one pick, that transition, the things he needs to have in his life. Because I think where Wall's game is currently now and where his career is at, no one is going to pick that up unless he have some real type of some just epiphany at this point in his career, changes a lot around, gets away from the mafia, rap a lot records that is, puts down, the party life and wants to get another deal. He'll probably be gone because no one's going to pick up these last 2 years. So the Rockets is probably like, well, you know what? Let's at least pair him with Cade. He can help groom him at the position if he is going to be a lifelong PG. Even though for me personally, I don't believe long term that's what Cade will be when you say point guard, because I think we both come from that same ilk, Cliff, where you are what you can guard. And I just don't see Cade sitting down to guard point guards for 82 games a year in a 10, 12-year career. No. Now can he facilitate your offense? Can he run your offense? Sure. Yeah. But it'd probably be more from the small forward space, potentially shooting guard space, depending on how well he picks up his shot. So Rap God asking Cade be one of the best rookies next year. Again, it all depends. It all depends who you surround him with. But again, I'm a little biased. Just in the background of what I've done, I was with Nike basketball 5 years, working the EYBL in the Southwest region. So I had all the EYBL teams from Louisiana, Arkansas to California. And I was fortunate to be with Cade, to be with the Greg Browns, to be with the Aaron Foxes of the world. So I've known Cade and his family for quite some time, and he's a great kid. Couldn't ask for a better thing. But it's funny because I often hate that saying when people say it, because guess what? You should be a big kid, good kid. You shouldn't be an asshole. You shouldn't be, caught up in yourself. And he's absolutely not that. He's somebody you want to be around, somebody you want to build your franchise with. He wants to shoulder that responsibility. And I tell people, to me, that right there is the difference between him and, say, a Jalen Green, who's likely to go second if Cade goes first. He wants to shoulder the responsibility of winning. It's not a selfish bone in his body. And that says a lot. That says a lot about someone, those are some of the characteristics you want from a cornerstone of your franchise. So can he be one of the best rookie guards this year? He should. He absolutely should. Because whether he goes one or two, he's going to have a lot of the freedoms and the comfort to be himself.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I do like that. I mean, in this draft I'm looking now, I like that the top 5 is kind of where I like, and after that it gets a little dicey to me. So I mean, who doesn't want a big guard? I mean, shit. I mean, that's kind of the thing now. I mean, as of the last 5 years, we go Ben Simmons, we go Lonzo, we go Markelle, we go. I mean, Spider. I mean, he was 6'5", 6'4".
Who's that?
Spider Mitchell. No, he's not 6'2".
No, Spider Mitchell is 6'1".
6'3". Yeah, I'm tripping. I was thinking as I'm talking. But you want your big. I mean, Luka, you could call him whatever position you want to. It'd be an endless debate to say what position Luka Doncic plays. But the reality is the ball is usually in his hand. So I'm going to presume that he's a de facto point guard in that space. Because why? I mean, you create matchup problems. Your primary ball handler having that much size. If he's good at doing it, you want that dynamic. So, you know what I'm saying? So I do love Cade, going number 1. The Pistons, I think, is where players going to die. So
Jesus Christ. Die?
Who has went to the Pistons and had anything reputable in the last? I'm gonna go 10. Let's go 6-7 years. Not named Andre Drummond.
I mean, Derek had Derrick Rose saw a resurgence in his career.
No, I mean drafted there.
Oh, well, they drafted bad. Let's be clear. They did draft bad. Like they can't escape that. They have drafted bad. And that's so important. I think people don't realize sometimes we all get excited with NFL draft, NBA draft time, future talent. But, picking the wrong pick can set you back several years, not just one. Because let's think about this too, ladies and gentlemen. You're in the lottery to get the best talent. The goal is not to be in that same spot next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're seeing too many teams that, and again, you get picked sometime, and if you finagle that, cool. But I'm talking about some teams that they're not finagling the pick; they're bad. That's a sign of a bad management.
Repeat offenders. Repeat offenders is what I call them. Repeat offenders is what I call them.
Yeah. It's too many retreads. Go to jail for
the same shit over and over.
Over and over again. There's too many retreads in the space, whether it be the NBA or the NFL. There's too many guys in the same exact space. And they're allowed, don't even get me to the element of people of color doing the job and how they're handled compared to their counterparts. But too many people have a track record of doing a bad job and they keep getting the job. That's a problem. If you keep doing a bad job, you should not keep getting a job.
That's that homeboy shit. That's that Kwame Brown rolling group shit that he be speaking about. Nepotism is real, man. Like a lot of guys, you get hooked up because you know the guy, he helped you get a kid, and then you get the situation. For one example, Michael Beasley. I forget who the guy who got Michael Beasley to Kansas State, but he got on as a coach. This is a small example. Mm-hmm. These what they call them backhand deals that you get, quid pro quo as it were. Those things happen in all levels. And so you see a guy like Stan Van Gundy get a job that you don't deserve. I'm gonna just say it. Sorry, I like Stan Van Gundy. I think he's a good person. I think he's hilarious, just like his brother Jeff. But how the hell do you get the Pelicans job out of nowhere like that? Well, your track record doesn't even fit that young core of guys. How does that happen and you get booted in a year? So I'm like, who favor did you?
Well, I do believe that there's some people, and we saw it with Hubie. Some people believe that when they have a good core group of guys, that sometime let's interject this old head who has a bevy of wisdom to give to these younger guys, and it has. It's worked sometime. It's no different than Dan Tony. Like if you're at a franchise that you're struggling to score, but you have scorers, Dan Tony name comes up because they know his style of play picks up the momentum for teams. If you look at the history of the game historically with his teams, guys have had career years. They have career numbers under Dan Tony.
You can get numbers, yeah, for sure.
So exactly. So some people believe, and we ain't got to sign him to know he won't be around for 10 years. Man, let's squeeze 2 to 4 out of him. Let's squeeze 3 to 6 out of him. And then if we could do that, we got the momentum roll. Then we bring in somebody else. Nah, it doesn't necessarily work like that because some people get hip and hitched to his style of play. And then, mentally, that's all they know.
They're stuck. They're mentally stuck. Absolutely.
That's all they know.
Absolutely. All right, so we got some questions, man. I'm going to try to hit y'all questions as we go. Appreciate y'all, as always, y'all following champ. Y'all have not liked the stream. Y'all like the stream, please. If you're not subbed to the channel, do that, man. If you feel like we're doing a good job, if you want to hit the Cash App, man, you get $2, $5, whatever you give. I'm going to give you a shout out if you hit the Cash App, man. So, let's keep this thing rolling. All right, so Justin Singleton says, some folks have said the Rockets should look at Mobley. He is a versatile big. I'm sorry, is the versatile big still a thing in the NBA? And most draft boards have him going, 3 to Cleveland? Mm-hmm. Well, how do you feel about Mobley, bro?
Yo, listen. I love Mobley. Again, I've been able to evaluate him for a very long time. This is one of the spaces where I think teams get jammed up. They don't get a lot of visibility when they're in high school. That's a plus for me. Then when they go to college, depending on where they go, they will lean on said university because of the prestige and name. So case in point, the kid goes to Kentucky and Duke, of course, they're going to listen to K, they're going to listen to Cal. But I think to a certain degree, if you had to give them a percentage, well, give them a percentage on how long they knew them. And what I mean by that is a lot of these one and dones, they can get on campus late in September. And depending on how good they are, they'll be gone as early as March. Like Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, they didn't go to March Madness.
Yeah.
So their season was over February, and we know how it go, Cliff. Dudes withdraw from class, and they're gone.
They're gone. Especially
so
Ben.
How much do they really know? Yeah. How much do they really know about these prospects? And I think that's part of the element where they get things wrong. But bringing it back to Mobley, 7'1", very agile. He's quicker twitch than what people realize and know until you see it in person. Plays with a level of grace that you see in the greats. For me, again, not just only watching him in the grassroots and high school space, but then, of course, when he got to USC, he makes the right reads all the time. Not sometime, all the time. But the final dig for me, with all my relationships and contacts throughout the space, one of the assistant coaches at the University of Southern California is Jason Hart. Jason Hart was a 10-year NBA pro. And he played, me being a Spur advocate, and of course it caught my attention. Jason played with Tim Duncan. And he said, Dain, I'm not saying that this kid is Tim Duncan. That's not fair to him. I'm not saying that. He said, but when I tell you his approach, his everyday habits, how he plays the game with the lack of emotion or that of the lack of, outwardly showing that emotion.
Being demonstrative, basically.
Right. Yeah. He's like, he has all those things. He does the small things. You don't have to tell him over and over again. He has a maturity level. He's 19. He has a maturity level beyond his years. And most importantly, he wants to be great. And this was early in the season. So this is before Rookie of the Year, MVP, Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year in the Pac-12. All of that has never been done. And that's with the lights. I mean, of course, Jabbar couldn't play as a freshman either. I don't think Walton. But as we said earlier, there have been plenty of greats to come through the Pac-12, and they haven't done that. And I think it's crazy because just from my sources and knowledge, Cade and Green are going 1 and 2. It will not surprise me if Mobley has the better rookie season over both of them, because I just think what he does, shot blocking, the running of the floor. I mean, he's near the rim. It's funny because he's not built like a Pat Ewing, Joel Embiid, but he wants to be around the basket. He wants to rim protect. And I think for him, that's huge. The versatility is cool. And I wanted to say this earlier because we was talking about it, Cliff. Okay. It's not a thing about him putting on weight more than it is him being stronger. But Jared gave this real example, and real talk, I've been puzzling my mind. He said, for every great young talent, and he kind of applied it to both football and basketball. He said, for every great young talent, how many people really necessarily got better by putting weight on? He said, there's too much stress in, man, he got to put on some weight. No, you just got to get stronger. You don't necessarily have to put on weight, then like you have to get stronger. So, of course, with him in his frame, he would have to get stronger because I don't think Kevin Garnett throughout his whole career put on a bunch of weight.
No, he put muscle on. Yeah, he just put muscle on. Yeah,
he got stronger. But if we look at what his rookie weight is and what his ending weight is, it's not to the levels of what a lot of people used to say. So
I agree with that. Even when he was old, he never got fat. He never got big. He was the same body type for the most part.
Right. So I think for Evan, it would not surprise me next year that he, like I said, he does have a better year than those guys. So that's cool.
Yeah, and something I always preach on this channel is what you just said. A, you are what you can guard, and B, personality types matter, because you can have a team of all types of chaotic mentalities or approaches to the game, and that causes miscohesion. I think I just made that word up. So that causes non-cohesion. Let me play it safe with that one. That they affect the locker room, guys. Like and so people. And let me play it this way. A lot of people want the best for Lonzo Ball. Like I told you, the real stands of the YouTube space really want the best for Lonzo. And you know me, I'm a Lonzo fan. But at some point, you got to command the locker room as a point guard. At some point, you come in there day one like, yo, I don't know what the hell y'all did before I got here. This is how we doing it. Chris Paul approach, as it were. So with a guy, we talking with Mobley, him being not just emotional. Because, well, shit, let's talk about James Wiseman. His emotions cost him floor time. Can we agree to that?
Yeah, but I also think, so it's funny because, again, you're naming kids that I did see a lot of their formative years at the high school and grassroots level and had. I think the situation with James, he had so much surrounding him. He always had people speak up for him and was telling him at some point he needs to speak up. And then it was just like, but you're speaking up at the wrong time, young fella. Like you have to earn this space. You have to earn that right to do such a thing. And I'm saying earn as I read Rap God's comment about Becky Hammond. I do want to touch on that as well as I don't want to skip over Matt Hatt either in regards to Kai Jones. But
all right, yes, let's do it this way. Let's go Matt Hatt first, and then we'll go to Rap God's question.
So Matt Hatt is real because we spoke about it again in part one. We were talking about staying around and knowing your role. And I think what's so crazy is that I think both Kai Jones and Jericho Sims, they have a bright NBA future. I do believe Kai Jones is now he would have to start at power forward, but then I think eventually with strength, experience, and time, he would be a center and he would be a very mobile center. Jericho Sims is someone who was around, as we said, with Jackson Hayes. He was around with Mohamed Bamba. And you're talking about now, he's on the verge of the forefront. I believe he's my first-round sleeper. I believe he will be a first-round pick due to the fact that he knows what he is. He's a 6'10" physical, rebounding big that can get to the dunker spot, can rim run, can rim protect, and it's not a whole lot of maintenance. If you can do that with positional size, and that's for anybody that may have a son, nephew, cousin that's coming up. If you can do that, you can have a quite lengthy NBA career. I say all that, though, because we had the young gentleman, Greg Brown, who he was in a rush to get out. My Kai was here for 2 years. Again, Jericho 4. And it's like those guys Kai earned his space to do what he's about to do. Jericho had no more time left. Even if they want him to come back, he's ready to be a pro. Greg Brown came in with all the fanfare, more than both of them put together, and produced little to anything. He left no imprint on the game in the league. He left no imprint at the University of Texas. But you're going pro. What are you doing? Like, what are we talking about? And I think too many times, too often, our people get caught up in the BS of trust and believe. It's no medal for saying you was a one and done. I tell young cats, I told cats this morning in our seminar here, I'm currently at the NBPA Top 100 camp, but I told some of the young fellas, I said, let me ask you, how many of you guys want to be a one and done? I said, how many guys you want to be a successful pro? I said, understand, they're not synonymous with one another. You can be a one and done and stay in the league 3 years and you're done. But guess what? You was a one and done. Or you can be like Cliff and myself and be 4-year guys and turn around, you know who you are and you're proficient in what you do and you can last in the NBA for 15 years. Make over. You know what blew my mind the other day?
What's that?
Take a wild guess what who was it? Was it Jamal Crawford? Oh, I gotta find it, bro. But it was a player who, if I had to ask you, how much you think they've earned in their career, you'd be like 82 million, 75 million. Bro, it was a dude who was a complete role player. They made $282 million. It blew my mind. It was on a level like Joe Johnson. Like a lot of people don't know about Joe. Joe made $300 million.
Bruh.
300 M's. Not the whole bright. I mean, he was an all-star a few times, but he didn't have no shoe deal. He had no commercial paid. So I think for our youth and families included, we get caught up in the wrong thing. It's not about being a one and done. I mean, it's a great luxury. It's cool. Remember, we had a young fellow from Syracuse.
Bro.
What was a young fellow from Syracuse a couple years ago? Surprised everybody. Was a one and done from Canada.
Ooh.
Was it Joseph?
I can't think of the dude's name.
Oh, I'm about to find it because it's gonna wreck my brain if I don't know who we're talking about. But
yeah, go ahead.
He was a pro. He was a one and done, and he's not even in the league now. And I know he's I know for a fact, like, he had so much to learn in his game, but was he able to exploit the fact that he was a one and done? Sure. But he wasn't that. And it's just, I think too many times we have to educate our folks on those type of situations.
Yeah, I think, man, that's a very great comment. And it's not a popular one, that know who you are. And who we seen benefit more than JaVale McGee of knowing who you are? Do you remember? I don't think y'all remember. When he came out of, I think, Nevada.
Yep.
He was supposed to be like one of those guys who were just stupid athletic, like Wilt Chamberlain athletic, which he is. He's right. JaVale McGee as a rookie, now he's a little goofy with it, but a lot goofy with it. He was a lot goofy with it, but he had Wilt Chamberlain athleticism for the size. Mm-hmm. And dude could jump out the gym. He could run like a deer. Problem is, JaVale ain't know what direction to run. And he would think he would handle the ball. Like, he was supposed to be like a point forward big. I don't think y'all remember this era. So JaVale, why he was on Shaq and the Fool? Because he was supposed to be this new age Swiss Army knife of a big. Because his mother played, you know what I'm saying, with Cynthia Cooper at USC, played for the Sparks and shit. So he's supposed to be the hybrid of that type of ilk of player. But what you found was he went from being this high uptick to like everybody saying he trash. But when he just did what he could do, which is rim run, rim protect, finish at the rim, JaVale McGee, everybody is coveting him now in his latter stages of his career. And it's hilarious of where he started and then where he ended up into where he is now, trending back upward. Like, he got brought to the Olympic team. JaVale motherfucking McGee brought to the Olympic team, bro.
Bro, we was talking about that at breakfast this morning. Like, yo, this dude is on the Olympic team. Like, dude, he's in the likes of the Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Shaquille O'Neal's of the world. Like, what are we doing?
Well, but it's a reason because he knows his role at this point, because championship teams have brought him in and have won with him being just a plug and play guy. Lakers and Warriors. Like, let's give JaVale his credit for being worse version of himself, but being with that team needed to win. But I'm with you, though, from a totality standpoint. It is a little comical that he is playing for the Olympics, but it's a little bit about what you said. Go ahead. No.
You good. You're good. I mean, I want the game to get back to a space of people drafting and knowing what they want and knowing that you have guys confident in what they can do. And I just think in Kai Jones' case, he is ready for that. He knows what he is. He's a rim running big. And I mean, that's cool. That's cool for him. Again, like I said, I think he'll start at power forward as he gets strength, because what he possesses, he doesn't really stretch the D much. He's just a finisher, so that's good for him. And then that's great for him, actually.
There you go. So let's move forward. What you said you wanted to go to. It's your show, Dain. So, man.
No, it ain't my show. I know. Rap God asked about.
Yeah, Becky.
Maybe we'll just Becky because it's non-draft related. But I mean,
it's a pro Becky channel right here.
No, that's cool. That's fine.
If you read between lines,
I think people have to understand about this.
I'm talking something different there.
She being the minority. Clearly, the Spurs are a huge advocate for her. And if you're such an advocate, Spurs, just go ahead and name her the coach in waiting. Because, there were rumors swirling about, Bill Self and his ties with R.C. Buford and the Spurs family with Kansas. There's deep-rooted history there. But if you love her so much, San Antonio, just name her the coach in waiting, and she doesn't have to worry about anything. But what I think people fail to realize is you got 29 owners. They don't look like me, but they're older. They're not even middle-aged, white males. They're older white males. And, outside of your star player, your next figurehead on the team is your coach. How many of those gentlemen that I mentioned are ready to concede their notoriety to that? And that's the question. I mean, are people stuck in always short? It's all about going forward, of course, but you still have, when it's their own entity, who's ready to give that up? Because you talk about in some situations, they know the coach more than they know the owner.
For sure.
People know Doc Rivers before they know the ownership is
for
done.
sure.
So is Philly management ready? And I'm just using Philly as an example. Are they ready to concede that notoriety to a woman? And yes, I say that because we're in 2021, but it is still that crazy. Is New Orleans ready to do that? Are the Rockets ready to do that? I mean, we know San Antonio is committed to seeing her win. So that's why I said, let's just go forward with naming her the coach in waiting, and we won't have to worry about that. But when you're saying going outside the league and is somebody ready to hire her, I'm not sure.
Well, let me say this, and I said pro Becky. I was being silly, but I'm actually pro no women head coaches in the NBA. I'm not with that, because there's so many guys who played the game who aren't given a chance, a la Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I know he's a cantankerous guy. I know he doesn't build relationships well, but there are a lot of former guys, and typically in a sport, you see guys that played that exact sport, that exact league, they get an opportunity. So I want to see more of let's throw names out there. Everybody says Mark Jackson, and I mean, Mark has had his chances. So I know he's his own kind of fellow, and I don't begrudge a man for having his own beliefs, his own style. Now I know he's a little sloppy too in the front office, but just guys who are like, JB Bickerstaff's kid get another shot. A guy like I love to see like a Tyronn Lue get a shot. I love guys who actually put that work in, who are trying to get a position, get an opportunity. Like Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing was assistant and tried and true, was trying to get on, and he has to go through college. He got to go through assistant coachingship. I don't mind seeing Pato's 8'11" ass on the sideline. I don't advocate for putting Becky Heyman in just because she has the right relationships and Popovich wants to be a progressive team. I don't give a shit about that. Me personally. Go ahead.
No, I'm with you as well. I mean, they are the first ones to scream how much they're advocates for her, so then just go all the way with it.
Do it then.
You know what I'm saying? Like what do we like exactly? And that's where I think they're low key playing off that. I don't want to say emotion, but it's like it's the right thing to say.
Yeah,
company line. Right thing. Well, if it's the right thing to say,
progressive company line.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, man, name her the coach in waiting. She won't have to go nowhere. You can just cross her T's, dot her I's. She will be the future Spur coach. Now, is Pop going to pull a sucker move and stay till he's 80? Then that's going to let us know, I really don't want to give her the job. But if Pop is like Coach K just did, I got one more year, Shire's replacing me. So when Duke is out here now on this recruiting role, you know what they're doing. You know what it is. Yeah. It's nothing to talk about. Shire got the job. Spurs, if you about that life, do what you got to do.
Be about that life. And Will made a good comment. Sam Cassell, I want to see Sam Cassell coach. I don't give a shit about Becky Heyman coaching the goddamn NBA, bro. Go coach in the WNBA. I'm sorry. And you want to call it what it is, that you can make your own inference from it. But I'm just saying this is a man's sport with men who put that work in, who look like me and you, as you alluded to, who may not get that opportunity. I'm not with that shit, man. I'm not a progressive dude like that where you're losing track of guys who understand the game at a high clip, who don't get that effort, and you want to promote a Becky Heyman over him. I'm going to say this, sorry, y'all. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to Little Big Nate Show, man. Gentleman from the Manosphere, man. This dude right here turned up, man, to the nth degree. Got a strong following on the YouTube, man. So Little Big Nate said, salute Hoop Jargon. I didn't even know anything about today's basketball. Just want to say salute. Hey, man, I'm here for education like I led in the first live. This ain't going to be no fanboy channel. We're not going to just promote anybody just because. Bro, we going to introduce you. Because here's the thing. And Dain is going to be hook, line, single with this. when you get into certain levels of basketball, bro, it is a brotherhood. Obviously, Illuminati as your clubhouse is, bro. It's a lot of respect connected to what you say. So you can't just be saying anything in these spaces, because why? You're gonna be a clown. So when I come to clubhouse, so if I say, for example, I'm a big advocate for the Ball family, you know that. If I say Jello Ball tomorrow gonna be Klay Thompson, you gonna look at me when I come back to clubhouse. What you gonna say to me, Dain?
What we doing?
You heard me?
No, I said what we doing. That's
exactly.
Exactly.
So I'm talking to Jared Jeffries, Malik Rose, AB. You know what I'm saying? Coach Scott Drew, world champion Scott Drew. I come in with some shit like that. How I'm gonna look, Dain? Exactly.
You know how I'm gonna laugh, but it's just like, again, what are we doing?
Now you gonna boot me out there, and you deserve to boot me out there. You understand me? And I want to give perspective, because in this YouTube space, it can get silly. It can get really silly.
No. Between the game sports. No, it was Tyler Enos. That's who it was.
Tyler Enos.
Raheem Christmas wasn't the one.
I hate him. He was real short too. I hated Tyler Enos. I'm thinking Euless. I'm sorry. Tyler Enos, the other one.
Tyler Enos, yo. But no, on a Raheem Christmas note, I don't think he turned out too bad, because he married Michael Jordan's only daughter. So he's exactly, Jasmine. So he's good. Custom J's. Look, custom J's to infinity.
That's a smart. They tell me that's a smart young man right there.
Yeah. That's what it is. But no, what I was saying, and I appreciate that between the game. That one and done space, it's not about. We want to see all these guys get to the riches, but the way that the game is set up, if you get to it early, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to stay there forever. I think we get spoiled when we look at LeBron. We mentioned KG. We talk Vince Carter. Shit, Chris Paul, year 16. That's not normal.
Facts.
That's not the average. That's beyond. That's beyond the norm. The norm. If my math is right or correct, or if the numbers change, I think it's anywhere between 11 to 9 years, 11 to 12 years. That's the average length of an NBA career. So when we start seeing guys go beyond that, you're starting to, again, you got extraordinary athletes already in this space. 450 players in the world. Then when you start stretching it, saying that they're lasting 8-9 years, you're in this space. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going the wrong way. You're talking about this space. When you're talking about somebody that's lasted 17, 18, 19 years, you're in between my fingers of how rare and small that is. You know what I'm saying? That's extremely, extremely small space. So, and we have to appreciate it. Because it could be the guys we hate. We could say they bums. We could say, man, everyone is not thriving in that space.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. They're by themselves, and it's for a reason. It's part of their greatness. So, if we knock those twos out, I didn't see any other questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to catch some shits, man. I appreciate the chat, man. Chat, y'all showing love, man. Again, man, y'all sub to Little Big Nate, man. It's a thing called the Black Manosphere. Little Big Nate be out there handing people they card out here, man. So he had a funny show to digress from basketballers. A second, he was on another young lady's page yesterday. I caught it this morning.
Mm-hmm.
This dude came in and called him a bum, or he called him a failure. Him, Kevin Samuels, and Obsidian. If y'all follow the Manosphere, y'all know what I'm speaking about. If you don't, you know who Kevin Samuels is. And Little Big Nate went nuclear on this man, dog. It was reminiscent of the Hoop Jargon Spirit. The group, that boy went nuclear on this dude on his YouTube.
He said nuclear,
dog. I try to be more controlled, but yeah, man, it's funny out here, Joe. What do you think about the burner account, bro? You think about
Justin asked about college players making money, and will that stop one and done?
Oh, hold on. All right, let's get there later.
Okay,
let's get there later. Let's evaluate the talent, because I know me and you got intimate knowledge with this college player shit. You know me, what my opinion is. So I'm gonna try to power through them. So give you a quick responses, and then so we can catch up. All right.
Okay, that's cool.
All right. So burner account says K seems to be too slow for the point guard spot at the next level, in my opinion. How you feel about that?
No, because it's all about space and angle. Talking about the NBA level, we talked about it earlier about Rick Pitino. Like, nobody's guarding anyone from 94 feet. So you don't have to worry about that. Hopefully he just gets a vet that teaches him angles, teaches him how to play faster guys. But the fact of talking about foot speed, like what? Like not for nothing. I'm not gonna lie. That might be the latest. Not latest. That's probably been the most missing talent. That's a better way to say it. The biggest missing talent in the NBA at a position would be speed. Because think about the league now. Wood guard is just a blur.
Maybe Ja, if you want to stretch it.
Okay, so if I'm in the West, I'm only seeing Ja twice.
Facts. I'm
You
not
feel what I'm
contesting.
saying?
I'm just trying to answer your
So
question.
Cade, when I'm in the West and the East, I'm thinking Ja's in the East. So if Cade goes to Detroit, he plays Memphis twice. Okay. Yeah. He got 80 games. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be a thing about it causing a hindrance to his game. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And don't get me wrong, I don't have a crazy super high projection to Cade. Now, when I say this comparison to him, I would love to see the reactions, and I'll even wait. I want everyone to hear me out when I say this, and I want your interaction to see your response, and then when I give your answer to you guys' response, it might make more sense. All right? So my comparison for everyone, and even to you, Cliff, I'll start with you first. My comparison for Cade is his name.
You're doing a good job of remembering names today.
I'm all over the place. I got it. Malcolm Brogdon.
Malcolm Brogdon. Damn, that's very accurate. Because tweener guard can play point, but you don't quite. That's damn. I can't detest that. Shit.
Now, does anyone who heard my comparison your stance on him? And I want to give you my reason why, because so many people, oh no, he's Grant Hill, he's this, he's that, and I'm like, no, he's not, because the flip to that being, he was Rookie of the Year, so that would be a great thing, correct? Yep. Talking about Malcolm Brogdon was second round pick, he was a Rookie of the Year.
He was successful, shit, yeah. I don't love him.
He handles the offense. No one's too fast for him. Bro, he just got a $90 million extension. And I tell people, like, everyone is not going to be the superstar comparison. That's what you talking about draft night. If there's something that pisses me off, is when Jay Billis or those other guys up there and their poor put together pre-production meetings give just bad comparisons to the people. And you can tell they're getting it from people that don't watch, because they're always quick. Oh, he was in the ESPN such and such ranking. Newsflash, I know the people that do that. And no, if you guys saw who these people were too, you'd be like, no.
Let me stop you there. I want you to expound, because hold on. Let me put myself back in the frame before I do that. I got a theory about these lames that's in the media, and I've seen it on a small scale. You know, I showed y'all my media pass last time. I seen these people who write these articles. They are some fucking lames. So, and they cheat off each other's papers. But yes. I want you to say it, because you are more ingrained in this. Dain, Ervin, you have the floor. Tell us about these people who write.
Well, it's a level of political influence on all of these websites, because it drives traffic. With that traffic, it's a fan base that purchases insight for these type of websites. So you take something like 24/7 and Rivals. They have fan base on the football side that has trickled over to the basketball side, that if you give insight on said program, they will provide money for that. And you couldn't ask for a better example with Nolan Hickman from Seattle, Washington last year. He was quote unquote ranked 90 in the country. Out of nowhere, the kid commits to Kentucky. That kid went from 90 to 30. Now, we're not even going to get on the gap between 90 and 30. But explain to me, and I always ask all the guys from those sites, and I mean, they know me well in the basketball space, so when they see me coming, they're hoping I don't, but I'm at a space now where I'm at peace, because I know the bullshit that comes with it. But What separates 30 from 31? What separates 32 from 45? And you can't ever get a direct answer, because if we're quote unquote ranking something, because don't get it twisted, ranking doesn't stop with high school sports. It goes on with colleges, but they have a scale. Graduates, SAT score, post grads that come back. Whatever you're determining in the pro space of what you're ranking, there's a system. But there's clearly a broken system in the grassroots space, because they rank kids in high school and they don't have a system. And I think the faster, as a parent, as an advisor, as a coach, that you understand that, the less you care about them. And that's why you will hear it in the Twitter space of it don't matter. Or like a lot of people say, the only ranking that matters is draft night. But then that's not true either. Because you take a kid like Sheck Diallo, who was ranked in the top 10 in his high school class. Yeah. He was a McDonald All-American MVP. He was a Brand Jordan MVP. Goes to Kansas, plays 31 games, 7 minutes a game, 3 points a game. He's still drafted. Now, where does that come from? A lot of what they were saying in high school. So, but it can only get you so far, because what? He was a one and done. Was he a defined player yet, Cliff? As we know, he wasn't. Did he know who he was? He didn't. Did he get to the league? He did. Was he a one and done? He was. But
what does it matter?
He's out the league now. Exactly.
Ask PJ Tucker what one and done means to his career.
Exactly. He's out the league now.
No. PJ Tucker. Ask PJ Tucker.
Oh, right.
One and done designation means nothing.
To what Ed said,
world champion.
Shoe affiliation plays a part. It does, unfortunately, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, Markelle Fultz was never on the quote unquote right shoe, platform. He didn't play on the EYBL. That didn't stop him from being McDonald's, didn't stop him from Brand Jordan, didn't stop him from being the number one pick. But it is something that it is used. I guess Cliff, we always talk about the mindless sheep. It is to keep many of the mindless sheep in line and just to follow what quote unquote the worldwide. Because think about it, who is any of us to question the worldwide leader in sports?
Exactly.
You sound crazy, bro. You sound crazy doing it, but when you know the minutia and the bullshit that goes on with it, yes, you can't question it, because it's not accurate. It's not accurate. So
and let me say this, and that's why it gives guys like Kwame Brown some validation in his space. Now, he be saying some wild shit. I think we all can understand that. But when you line up these guys who are these provocateurs of this information, and we're talking the B League guys like Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes and what have you, Ryan Hollins and shit. These dudes serve a purpose of the grand scheme, and they're not to be not questioned. Like, you can question just because they have notoriety. You don't have to take their word for that shit just cause. Like, no, you put your pants on just like me as a man. And if your evaluation don't make no goddamn sense, I'm gonna challenge your shit. And I love Kitchen Perkins. He on my intro every video I put, but Perk be saying some bullshit sometimes. I would love to have Perk on here. I would tell you, Perk, he be saying some bullshit. But again, I love Perk. Perk from Beaumont. I played with his teammate Jason Breckenridge from Beaumont Ozen High School. Played with me at Prairie View. Man, so it's no hate. It's just like I'm gonna call you to the table if you saying some bullshit. Let me say this, I know you ready to cook. But you long-winded, but I love that about you. All right, so and you talked about the media manipulation, and I gotta say this, man. And I know, again, you're not a huge Ball family advocate. You're moderate on that. That's cool. They said, why do people who write hate-filled articles on LeVar and his three sons for notoriety? And here's why. You serve agendas. Because one thing you can say about LeVar is, whether you think he batshit crazy or you think he 100% on point, you're not going to control what he says. You've seen him on CNN, you've seen him on FS1, you've seen him on ESPN and on TMZ. You can't tell him what the hell he wants to say. So what we typically see in the media, and I talked to him for 20 minutes, and I told him, I was like, man, if you was a woman, you wouldn't have these problems. He mentioned how that LaMelo is doing this thing. They don't want to talk to him no more. Because it's like, you can't make him to be a buffoon anymore. Mm-hmm. Just think if LeVar Ball was a single black mother man, they would be shouting this dude from the mountaintops. Why do we know this? We seen freaking Donovan McNabb mother get that accolade. We seen Kevin Durant mother get that accolade. Now, if LeBron mama could just pull her shit together, she would have been mother of the damn 2 decades over. Can we agree to that? Gloria James, if she wasn't such a Gloria James, she would be like, you raised one of the greatest basketball players of all time. You know the media would have ate it up, but she got too much personal shit. Like you gonna play that to the side. But my point I'm making is for a guy who put 2 top 3 drafts in the mold, who speaks forward like a man, whether you think it's bullshit or not. The media does not champion them kind of guys. Look at Richard Williams, Serena, and Venus Williams' father. Generally speaking, if you speak outrightly, especially if you're a person of color, but I don't make excuses on this channel about color. But generally speaking, if you're a man, you speak on the forthright, you don't get favorable treatment in the media. It is what it is. It is what it is. And that goes amongst color lines, in my opinion. Go ahead, Dain.
No. I'm listening to you.
The boy say, shout out to Delonte West. Hey, man, y'all gotta cut that shit out, man.
That's ruthless. They definitely ruthless for that one.
Yeah. So, and this is a great comment by TB, said Rachel was just on the jump, gushing over a single mom narrative about a draft prospect. Bro, the same you saw with Anthony Edwards. He had his deceased mother and grandmother, which I have no problem with that. But it's funny how they champion that. And let me go Zion Williamson. He has a stepfather who was in his life. They talk about his mother. And so you got to start seeing the trends with shit like that. And they want to kind of have our boys out there, or our men. Fuck it, they ain't no boys. You 18 up, you a man. We have our men out there being shown like, oh, well, they just charity casing. Oh, well, woman raised them. Nah, bullshit, man. But that's the fix. That's how I go, man. So to answer your question, Rago, I know I kind of ramble a little bit, but I hope that answers your question. You're gonna see that no matter what the race, bro. In my opinion.
True. I mean that's just what it is. So I mean, somebody just said,
it's clickbait. It's clickbait. I agree with that.
And don't get me wrong. Let me be clear when it comes to LeVar. I mean, because I got 2 boys myself, and you couldn't have said it any better in regards to his level of love and dedication to his son. It hasn't been exhibited over time, especially they don't. History has shown they don't like brash men of color to speak things into existence, a la Richard Williams. Serena and Venus's daddy. That's not something that has been received well. And when you think about it, LeVar just followed that blueprint. Maybe the California way, because they were out in Cali as well. He just did that. So that part, I just, when he was taking it beyond things that were unproven is where I had a problem with LeVar.
I'm with that.
Just the banner with Charles and Michael and all this, and my son. Let your sons be who they're going to be. I think to your point, you said about Jermaine being in LaMelo's life helped him block out a lot of that so he could focus. And as you and I both know, Lonzo didn't have that. And you see the difference, which is still crazy because, I mean, it ain't like Lonzo not going to get, he turned down 16 per. I think because of the season he had, it's still probably on the table. So you're going to get a 90. I'm sure he's hoping for 100 million, but he'll get a 90 ball. And again, it's one of the things you shake your head and you say, yo, like, who is anybody to judge? How did he get that wrong? Just got his son $90 million. So
let me say this as you're going, and I like where you're going. 2 things. One, so this is the same faction of people said when, Alan Foster, who was his former homie, allegedly stole 1.5 mil from LeVar. I'm sorry, from Lonzo, that it was this big issue at the time. 3 years later, that's a footnote in his career. You know what I'm saying? And to juxtapose it properly, Tim Duncan and KG got upwards to about 90 million collectively stolen from an agent from them in their career. And at the time, people were saying, oh no, that's 1.5 mil. With 3 years later, that's a footnote now. Like that's okay, you lost that bread, but you're about to get that bread now. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and from my conversation talking to LeVar the other day, he ain't raised no pussy ass boys, man. He's like, man, I'm not worried about that. And he kind of let me on that Jello was going to be signed to the Hornets, which that next day, which was yesterday morning, he got signed to the Hornets. And he didn't say that specifically, but he said that now GMs are listening to me. I'm telling you, GMs are. So I can say things slowly now because I didn't want to be no Herb and start, trying to record LeVar talking and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to him when he's speaking and he's being extemporaneous at this point. Like, he's not trying to put on for the camera. He literally is 4 guys right here talking shop. And so, and that's why I said I went live yesterday, 2 days ago. I'm so sorry. I was like, don't be surprised if you see all 3 boys in Charlotte. But the way he was speaking, he was just riffing. Like, I didn't see that he was putting on for the situation or none of that. So, when you see how his kids are kind of viewed in the space, it's because of how he is. And I don't think that affected Lonzo to your credit about Jermaine Jackson. I just think he didn't have that experience for such a skilled trainer to build him up. Because Demo, which his homeboy, was his trainer at the time. So you're talking about a guy who didn't play NBA level to a guy that did. So I don't think it's the pressure. He raised his kids to deal with pressure. That's not a big deal. I just think he had the luxury, the third kid, to see, okay, let me put an NBA guy to be with him every day. It's just like, usually you get better as a parent as your kids progress because you see what don't work and what does, as we all know. So I do want to add that as you continue to build forward. Go ahead.
No, I mean, again, I've always just kept it like to the point. Again, your backlog of information with this particular topic runs deep in hoop jargon. You can check it. Like my view on a lot of things, I've always kept it as simple as possible. With said family, you know what I'm saying? So, shout out to them, and it is what it is. I still don't believe there's a shot in hell that Jello makes it, but I mean, if Giannis can get his brothers in there, you never know.
I want you to speak on that, and there's no hate. No, because we live in that space where Jello gets a lot of acclaim. As you know, he got signed to practice summer league team. So I want to hear your opinion about what Jello's opportunity is. Just honest opinion.
I think so. The craziest part, he's always been he always had the best looking shot. He probably shot it better than both.
Facts.
But he never had idealistic positional size. Like Lonzo was great for his size in that position. People forget the super duper growth spurt that LaMelo had and he has now makes him super dynamic. Jello, no, nothing. If it came out that Jello was 6'8", shit, you've seen him. LeVar got great size for a man. If Jello had that size, I say, yo, he got a shot. I think he's the shortest now.
He the shortest, and LeVar. So you know me, I'm 6'7". So in my picture, me and LeVar are about the same height.
This is what I'm saying.
Obviously, bigger.
If Jello gave us that, Jello would be a problem.
Well, Jello about 6'5". He's close. It's just so. Let me ask you this. My prognostication for Jello has always been for the last 3 years that if he's going to get in the NBA, he's going to be a PJ Tucker type player. As far as learning we talking about role, knowing who you are, been a knockdown shooter. Obviously, he's a way better shooter than PJ Tucker ever could dream to be right now.
Right.
But using your body for the right reasons, you know what I mean? Being a 3-and-D guy, proverbially speaking, he got a wide frame. How do you think that prognosticates going to the NBA level, or if that's even a thing?
First of all, when you talk about 6'5", you're hoping idealistically he's a shooting guard. You're talking about the most athletic position, arguably, in the league.
Well, PJ 6'5", 6'6", though.
Yeah, but he also came into the league how many years ago?
Well, no, I get it. No,
13, 14 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it was a different NBA. He's been able to find a niche, but guys like PJ Tucker, you have to find a niche. So if he's going to Charlotte, is that his niche? You get what I'm saying?
I understand perfectly. Yeah.
Is that technically the right team he can go to find that niche? Maybe that's the question. Because you're right, you have to find a niche, and PJ
Yeah,
Tucker found his niche in the league, but Charlotte that spot for Jello. That's maybe the conversation that you have one night, and I have it with you guys. I have no problem, but scouring the league, where is that space for him? And then hold on, committing to the as my aunt would say, the sugar honey iced tea that PJ Tucker was about. Because Jello, we not bringing you in as a third, fourth guy to be shooting all these jumpers. Hold on 1 second.
Hey, and for y'all 2000s babies, y'all didn't get the undertone of that sugar honey iced tea. That was a popular song back in the 90s, but it's an acronym for something that is a adult word. So y'all take every first letter and y'all figure that out. So yeah, man. So what Dain's handling something personal. Y'all got to understand that, and my stance on Jello has always been that if you're gonna be in the league, I don't necessarily see star talent, but I see staying power talent. But you got to buy into that role, and that goes into what we already said about: are you about, are you going to commit to what you're about? Like the JaVale McGee example, because it's a humbling experience, and y'all got to understand, even if JaVale McGee, he thought he was going to come to the NBA and take it over as this new age big man. You got to understand that. Every player in the NBA level thinks they're going to come over with their personal skill set. They're going to take it over. Me, a dude who averaged 5 and 3 my senior year, thought I had a shot at the NBA. Now, when I went overseas, I knew, all right, I'm not going to the goddamn NBA. But you got to understand the mentality of these guys at that level, rather. So for my guys who get on me for my Jello, just honest critiques, you got to understand where you shake out in this level, because reality is you're not exactly what LaMelo brings to the table. You're not exactly what LaMelo brings to the table.
Right.
And that's okay. There's many roles for different skill sets in the NBA, and that's all I'm on.
Like, I seen it in a couple comments saying that, Melo's been a role guy since like high school. Yes and no. I mean, he was a role. He was an option. He was a role, but like I think
California scoring though, like so. That's
right,
a little,
right. Because his strength, you could argue, PJ Tucker's strength is mudding it up, being a tough guy defending. You could argue that's his strength.
Absolutely.
That's not Jello's strength. So any team he goes to, that would probably have to be his entry point. And then later on show, I still could shoot.
Yeah, that's fair.
The jumper's still pretty. That would have to be his entry point. But
bro, let me, dog, you gave me a revelation. That is so freaking true. And here's why. I told you I played PJ Tucker my junior year. And so before he got his accolade, he was there with Boobie Gibson and LaMarcus Aldridge, AJ Abrams, Brad Buckman. They had a hell of a team, 3 of which were NBA players. Him, PJ, and Boobie played with LeBron. PJ, his senior year, which is my junior year, or his last year, rather, they tried to make him an offensive threat because they wanted him to be like a threat 3 player at the time. But he was always a junkyard dog, though. And that's how he got his reputation. Mm-hmm. But his last year, they tried to make him more of an offensive threat. It just wasn't working out. I say this all the time. PJ Tucker is the worst offensive NBA player I played in my life. It was so easy to guard him. He was terrible. Him or the dude EB who got drafted the pick before Kendrick Perkins. I looked this shit up in the 04 draft. Mm-hmm. The dude EB or PJ Tucker, the one of the worst 2 NBA players I played in my life. As far as me having to guard them, it was easy.
Right.
So, but PJ, by nature, is a junkyard dog. They try to make him something else. It didn't quite work out. But now he's back to a junkyard dog. So, Dain, you might have struck gold with that comment. So now I'm rethinking this shit.
I mean, it's what it is. It's what it is. And it's, putting up with it. I think, when you talk about the reputation of LeVar, I think it's taken a better view because of how he conducted himself with LaMelo this year. So I think LeVar's rep is not as bad anymore. But it's funny because in Clubhouse, Jared kind of, Jared was Michael Jordan's rookie. So he has, and he shares with us often sometimes, intimate conversations about Mike. He said, Mike, he pulled LeVar in and was like, yo, listen, we not doing all that. And I think as men, him respecting him as a man and as an owner and how he probably conveyed that to him. And then even some self-reflection probably on LeVar, he probably realized, you know what, I probably could have did some things different. And he did. We saw the outcome where now it's not about you. Let it be about your kids. And now, LeVar can walk around with the white head, last dance meme everywhere he goes. Now he doesn't even have to say anything now. And it's different. So, in the hopes of a young black man getting the opportunity again in the rarest group. I mean, this is rarer than your fraternity.
Absolutely.
This is rare than any sorority. This is rarer. I mean, only probably the Hall of Fames have a smaller group than the actual, people that played in the NBA. If it's another young man that can fulfill that dream one day, shout out to him. So
I'm gonna give a little pushback to that notion because, well, here's what happens, man. When you get attention, you got to kick the door down at the end of the day, because Lonzo Ball don't talk. So if Zoe wasn't basically, so let's juxtapose it this way: Mike Tyson, he can't talk, he don't really talk, and he has a funny voice. So if Don King didn't promote Mike Tyson the way he would have, can we say his career would have shook out the same way? Because they handpicked a lot of fights with some bums, but it was the cult of personality developed from his knockout strength, and Don King talking him up like he was the best thing in boxing. That resonates in people's minds, and they're willing to pay a pay-per-view to. I mean, now Cus D'Amato trained him, so he's a great player. Now I'm not trying to make a apples to apples comparison in a respect that like the training is the same, but personality type. The guy, if Mike Tyson never had Don King, we generally wouldn't be as interested in his career as we have, because again, his oration skills are not great.
But it's also I partially agree with you because
I ain't got to the point yet.
No, I was going to say though, because the part you described, Mike, is partially true. Those that knew Mike and was around him, he knew he talked funny. He did talk, but I think in Don's presentation of him, he felt he shouldn't talk. Don't let him talk.
Of course not.
And tried to hide that. But I was going to say, I mean, look at Kawhi though. Kawhi doesn't talk much.
Agreed. So in the way I'm approaching it is there's more than one way to skin a cat. Now, Kawhi had the benefit of A, playing for Greg Popovich, one of the greatest coaches to ever touch a whistle. B, he had the benefit of playing with already well-oiled machine. So it's not like they put Kawhi, say if he went to Indiana and he was the show by himself. It's arguable that he had not had the same career as he had now. He was developed in a system where he didn't have to be the guy. He was the fourth guy on that team when he showed up. Mm-hmm. Lonzo was the face of the franchise. Let Magic tell it, quote unquote, when he showed up. So the dynamics are a little different. So the point I'm making is, with the stage he had, LeVar put his son through the fire, which he taught him to be his whole life. LeVar ain't never taught his kids to be average. He ain't never taught his kids to be scared of the moment. We seen him cuss LaMelo out when LaMelo was a little old scrawny kid playing against Zion Williamson in that AAU tournament in Vegas, right? So with that being said, he put Lonzo out there in a way that he know his kid can handle it. He know what he raised, just like your boys. You know what you raising every day. Mm-hmm. And you can feel from the outside like, dang, chill, bro. Like, why you treat like that? You with your kid every day. You know what your kid is capable of. Us, the observable public, we may not have the same opportunity to be privy, obviously, to see what's going on in your household. So I think it was necessary, the way he views it, at least. And we can't refute that ultimately it worked out. That you got two kids as top 3 draft picks. That is literally one of the hardest things to do. You got a better chance to get struck by lightning once in your life than to raise 2 NBA kids. And that's just facts. You got better chances to get struck by lightning. So I think we got to keep this in its proper context, because I know he say some wild shit. I ain't the guy to say that ain't true. But at the same time, he's almost dumb like a fox. So people who say he's dumb, because you raised two top 3 kids. I can't name another daddy on this planet that done that.
No, not top 5.
Not one. Even Giannis' daddy, who I give a lot of credit to. Even Drew Holiday daddy, who I give a lot of credit to. Who can say they raised that?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's dumb, teach me how to be that dumb. All right, we got some breaking news, man. I want to get your opinion, bro. Grizzlies are finalizing a trade to send Jonas Valanciunas and a draft pick to the Pelicans for Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe and picks. Memphis, why y'all doing this? You got a point guard already. Why you bring another? Why do people buy into Eric Bledsoe, man? I'm sorry, I'm going off script a little bit.
Well, to be fair,
go ahead.
Let's see what his what the cap numbers look like. When you say that, it
well, if it expires, I got you. If it expires,
you know what I'm saying? Like it might be more to it. It might be more to it.
That makes sense.
Because they trying to get him off the book. Plus OKC, don't get this twisted. So next season, OKC has the lowest salary cap in the league. However, wait a minute, he's not even on here. They got a bunch of bad contracts, I'll tell you that much. Unless he was inspiring. He must have been inspiring. They don't even have him on OKC right now. I'm looking at
All right, take your time. Like I say in church, take your time.
So Memphis had a top 10 salary. They had some money dumping. Yeah. So the way it's showing, Valanciunas was owed 14. He's owed $14 million next year. That's an expiring deal.
Okay.
Winslow, $13 million with a team option. Dylan Brooks, $12 million. And you talking about Ja and those guys still in a rookie deal. So of course, I think Ja becomes he's not extension eligible yet. That's not until the end of next year. Kyle Anderson last year on their books. Memphis must be trying to make a move to do something because they got a lot of free money opening up, on their books. So
okay.
I don't understand. I don't see where they have I don't even see Eric Bledsoe. And I don't know. I've known some guys to play with E. Bled, and they said he's a great vet. He's a great guy. So I don't know. But literally OKC has the lowest salary cap in the league next year. But bringing it back to the draft sake, my man is on the clock. He's on the clock. The GM in OKC.
Presti, yeah.
Sam Presti, because I'm not exaggerating. They got like 27 picks in like the next 3 drafts.
I might mess around and get drafted next year.
Yeah, exactly. But I think with some of these people in management, the pin pushers alike, what they get confused is, okay, you gather up all these picks. Now what?
Yeah.
What you gonna do? Okay, cool. You got 27 picks next 4 years. What you gonna do with them? Because if you don't flip that roster, then you made moves and we potentially miss money because you up here.
Yeah.
Because you up here flipping, picks. So what? Danny Ainge did the same thing in Boston. What did he truthfully flip it to? He did get Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
They were bad. They got Bledsoe. They got Brown. They were bad. You still got all these picks left over. So what I'm starting to learn, even for my own basketball acumen, is when you have all those picks, you have to flip those not for draft day picks. You have to flip that for pro personnel and the pro personnel that fits what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
In their mind, I guess OKC is saying, give us Valanciunas.
No, it's the Pelicans, bro.
The Pelicans. I'm sorry, the Pelicans.
Yeah, that's David Griffin work right here.
So. Valanciunas. No wonder I didn't see him. I'm tripping. Hold on.
Yeah,
Let me go back because I was pulling up. I pulled up OKC. Wait a minute.
Yeah. So why you getting your mind right? And learn
I'm
had a
all
question,
over the
man.
place.
What's that clubhouse room, bro?
So it's 94 by 50. It's a greenhouse. I have my own house. They were cool enough to let me get my own house, but 94 by 50 feet. It's called Basketball Illuminati. I go every Thursday at 1:30 Central Time. Regardless where you are, it's going to be Central Time. Okay, so now let's make more sense of it. 34. Ooh, they took on a lot. 34, they owe Steven Adams. 37, they owe E. Bled. So that's 70-something. So somebody must be getting like a max deal. They must go and probably extend Valanciunas to a super max or something crazy, because to pull that deal off, that's the only thing I could read. Also, they paid Ingram, so they don't have to pay him unless they make him money for Lonzo. They might be trying to free some money up for Lonzo. That's keeping it on the conversation we were just talking about, because Lonzo's qualifying offer next season would be 14 M's, but I think they've already notified like he was gonna go into free agency or they were gonna match whatever. Because Zion is not up for a couple years as well. Jackson, yeah.
Well,
So
they kind of let the sentiment that they weren't gonna match nothing crazy. So I mean, I don't know, man. Like shit, who knows them New Orleans?
I mean, Willie Green must have made a real impression and probably told them, "Hey, man, let's get this money out the way. Let's keep this young fella, because if you just moved, you know what? Now it's starting to add up.
That's fair.
That's starting to add up, because if I just explain to you 71 million that they freed up, they did offer Lonzo 15 per. He turned it down because they said he was looking in the neighborhood of 16 to 17. They may have freed up enough money to get him to go. I mean, get him to stay. I'm sorry, get him to stay, along with Valanciunas. So Valanciunas is a physical, rugged, big, like Steven Adams, and that's going to be interesting, because dude is a low post threat, and I think one of the mistakes that the Pelicans are making is they're giving Zion the ball too far out.
Yes,
I think they need
sloppy handles. Holy shit!
Right, he doesn't have this imaginary handle they have. He's a bull in the china shop. Put him in the short corner. Put him in the dunker spot. Let Lonzo be Lonzo. Get your fat butt in shape. I mean, we're talking about a player where he's living in the city. I said this to you before. I say it again. Butter's a vegetable in New Orleans. Butter is a vegetable, and Zion needs to stay away from that particular vegetable, because, like, for all athletes, when you start to physically see a change in their body, that's when you know they're really dedicated into their craft. And Zion, we're now going into year 3, and you still walking around like that bus driver that shitted on himself. Like, I'm just tired of looking at it. And at some point, he has to get in better shape. He has to.
We have some technical difficulties. We back.
Oh, you didn't hear me?
Nah, I dropped out, man. My StreamYard had shut down.
Oh, the crowd might have heard me. I was saying Kuminga, he living in a city where butter is a vegetable. He's got to stay away from the table. He got to get his ass in shape. I mean, we're going into year 3. We have not seen a definitive different look out of him. Barkley had the fat jokes in Philly. He went to Phoenix, got him better. You saw a visibly different Barkley. When Shaq was in Orlando and he got to LA, we saw a visibly different Shaq. Shit, people feel how they want about Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard visibly changed his frame, and it was a different look. Yep. You want to get into that pantheon of greats, Zion, got to push away from the table, leave the beignets alone, the extra gumbo. Shout out to my man Jason Thibodeau, good people. And you got to dedicate your body into getting in better shape. And if he doesn't, I mean, he doesn't. But, I'm tired of him walking around like a bus driver who shit on himself after every play. Just be lumbering around. And it's crazy because he's a great kid. Like, Zion is a great dude. But
great kid.
You got to get in better shape, man. You got to get in better shape.
Hey, man, the truth stands on its own, no matter if I like you or not, man. The truth is what it is.
Ain't nothing to remember when you tell them the truth.
There you go, man. There you go.
You got to remember now, because see, you had on a red. No,
sir.
No.
Truth is the truth.
Yeah, I think they freeing some bread up for Lonzo with that move, I would think. And Willie Green must be really fighting to keep him. Possibly. But you never know what they're gonna do. He might be done with the organization because, as we know in those high echelon in sports, you're not even looking at the coach. Management who's been there. Ownership don't fuck with you. and you probably like, yo, I'm just done with the city.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the woes. I'm tired of the little mamas and all that. You know what? I want to go back to California. I want to go somewhere else. So
that's real. Well, I'm gonna finish up with it too, man. We on a 3 hour as a collective time. I know you're a busy man, Dain, and I have not eaten anything today. It's too.
Oh no, son, man! If you want to get back on tonight, we can get on draft day. I told you I'm here in Orlando.
Draft day. Let's do it again. I'm off
Saturday.
Thursday.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. So y'all, man, you know what I might do, Dain? If you're down, I'm a stream. Have the stream of the draft, then us comment on each pick.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
All right.
I'm with that.
Yeah, it's gonna go down.
And plus, we can build it up too. If you do the flyer joint again, we could do it for draft day. I'm with that.
Okay, bet that. All right, so we're gonna knock out a few quick little responses. I'm gonna go get some eat before I pass out. I ain't ate a damn thing today. But you know, that's what I do, man. On my off days, I don't mind giving y'all this content because I know Dain's a guy who has a lot of insight, and I would love to hear him just explain things to y'all the way he views it, because he talks to a lot of people that y'all, observe.
Matter of fact, between the game, he did ask it earlier, and I wanted to answer it, and we missed it. Will Calipari streak end this year? I'm gonna say no. I think, and I'm not a fan of him, but I think Isaiah Jackson sneaks in there. I do not think Boston is a first-round pick. God bless Terrence Clark. I didn't think he was a first-round pick either, but I do believe. I believe Isaiah Jackson has probably the best shot to do so. With that, there's a couple other questions.
They got him projected like 21st, so yeah, I think it's a pretty decently safe bet. Alonzo said to be restricted free agent. He says we love to return to us, and says we love to return. Well, we'll see. I mean, they just gotta let him just touch the ball more. But I don't love him being there because you got 3 guys who like the ball in their hands too. So.
And it's crazy because those guys are really not on ball guys either. You know what I'm saying? They forcing them, and I didn't get that from Van Gundy. I didn't understand that. I really didn't.
All right, so we got to go on for wrap up. What's your impression on Kuminga as a prospect? Can he improve his 3-point in the NBA level?
I don't think it's his 3-point shooting. Kuminga had New York ties, so I knew Kuminga when he first arrived here in America. I think his what he has to improve, which actually a lot of African prospects struggle with this, it's the actual feel. We naturally get feel because we play so much every day against competitive people. I think international prospects, and again, we're talking about an African prospect here, they play, they work out, but they don't develop feel. I could be from New York as I was raised, and Cliff is from Northside Houston. We'll see each other in AAU. We will develop a natural feel, not only just playing the game, but competing against each other. And if we compete enough and a lot, that's how you sharpen your skill. I think with Kuminga, his thing is not necessarily the 3-point shot. It's his feel for the game and understanding what he is. Because never mind the description or the ability to shoot the 3. What is he? What's his position? Because everyone has a position. That's why I was so glad. That was another thing with these playoffs. Like all that positionless basketball talk, that shit went out the window real fast.
Quick.
That shit went out the fast real quick when you started realizing, we can't put no 6'5" dude on Giannis. No. He's all bit of 6'11", 250, and you better have something to counter that. Period. So I think with Kuminga, he's a prospect, extremely athletic, strong. He can finish. I think it's with him getting with the right people in the right team. If he can get with a pass first guard, possibly, he could look really, really good. But I'm not worried about his 3-point shot because he'd still be a rookie.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. So we'll end it with this last comment, y'all, and we'll see how it shake out between now and Thursday. We're gonna definitely do another one because this rolled out perfectly. Well. All right, so when you think about the last comment about the potential big 3 implications of Zion, Ingram, and Lonzo?
I mean, you got to win first. You got to show a dedication to excellence first. When you look at a lot of big 3s, a lot of the times in that 3, there's an accomplished one, there's a budding one, and then there's a young pup. with the Spurs big three, Tim was the MVP. You had Manu, you had Tony. When you look at, Boston, KG was a former MVP. You had Paul, you had Ray. The Celtic, Larry Bird, he was the MVP. McHale, Parrish. Lakers, Kareem, Worthy, Magic. When you're saying in this group they could end up a big three type, who's your MVP? I mean, you don't even have perennial all-stars yet. So, I mean, because Williamson didn't get 2 years in a row, did he?
No. Well, Brandon Ingram made the All-Star team this year, but perennial.
No. 2 years ago, Ingram made it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And Williamson made it this year.
I got some context though. Perennial's
like
consistently All-Star.
Let's get some of that out the way first. Let Lonzo get the All-Star level. Ingram, get a couple more. Williamson get a couple in a row. And, first team All-NBA contentions before we start talking this big three. Because other than that, think about it. You've been around long enough, Cliff. They could be Jamal Mashburn, Jimmy Jackson, and Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They could be that. Fuck big three. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
It went nowhere.
So, exactly.
Or like Dirk, Finley, and
Nick
Dirk,
Van
Finley,
Exel.
and Nash. No, it went nowhere. I mean, you can argue that's a big three, but I lived in Dallas at the time. It was a thing, and then Antoine Walker came over. It went nowhere.
Exactly. So let's be easy. Shout out to Between the Sports, man. We all getting something to eat too, but
yes, definitely. Sir. Boy, I'm fat boy status out here, man. So man, appreciate y'all, man, joining. Till next time, we gonna riff again. Between now and Thursday, I got a funny work schedule. So I'm off today. I'm off tomorrow. I got work Wednesday, which is a half day. I'm off Thursday, Friday. So in between them days, we gonna make something shake, man. So
let's do it, boy.
Let's do it, man. So thank y'all who tuned in, man. I thought this was a very informative and dope stream, man. And so again, man, we ain't on here just to be taking up YouTube space. I want you to walk away with some knowledge, because every time I'm with Dain on his platform on Clubhouse, I learn some shit that with guys who are legit. So that's why I want to bring on as much as I can and not just look like Zach Randolph on here. So any parting words before you go, bro? You need to get some glasses or something, man. I think you're on mute, bro. I think you're on mute.
We need a big for
I hear you now. Go ahead.
All right.
Dain, I think you was on mute, bro.
Going through the book, and then somebody
gives the next time, y'all, we are.
Shout out to Hoops Jargon, man. I'm gonna add you to the crew, man. This crew called Hoops Jargon. They've been getting at it, man. They the ones that's gonna grill you, man, because they majority are all Houston people. So that's
shout out to Hoops Jargon.
Shout out to Hoops Jargon.